One of the most outspoken religious leaders, Pope Francis, the head of Catholic Church and also the sovereign of Vatican City, last year has mentioned that families and couples who are going for pets, cats and dogs and not kids are selfish.
E tante coppie non hanno dei figli perché non vogliono, o hanno uno e non di più, ma hanno due cani, due gatti, e sì, i cani e i gatti occupano il posto dei figli. Sì, fa ridere.
Well, this has literally opened the floodgates. I do not want to jump into the controversies associated with this statement, but in this video, I rather want to emphasize on the economic consequences of what is happening in the world right now. The lowering fertility rates. In 2000, the world's fertility rate was 2.7 births per woman. Today, it is 2.3 and it is falling. According to United Nations Population Division, the fertility rate should be 2.1 so that the population itself sustains. Now we can clearly see with the number is declining over time, the population will also start declining. Now what does it mean to you and me? As tax-paying citizens and also as somebody who should be looking forward to utilize and benefit from the social welfare schemes of the country, we need to understand what is happening in this scenario. Please go ahead, share this video with your friends and family, and let's make sure that we all understand the real economic consequences of what's happening in the world today. So let's start with what's the government's perspective. Imagine Pavan is paying 10,000 rupees as tax. The government collects this tax and also it will borrow some more money. Collectively, this money is spent on different sectors. It could be the defense sector or it could be improving the roads, infrastructure and healthcare and other activities within the country itself. If we look at 2023 budget statement released by the Indian government, defense sector was allocated 13% of the overall expenditure, that is 5.94 lakh crores. And out of this 5.94 lakh crores, 1.38 lakh crores was allocated to defense pensions. Now you can see 25% of the defense budget is allocated to pensions. What does this mean? Our tax is going into supporting the folks who have worked and fought very hard for the Indian Army, which makes a lot of sense. But the problem starts when there are not enough young people who will continue to pay taxes, and that would be the problem that the governments will start facing few years down the lane. There will be people more and more people who are drawing pensions, but there won't be too many people who are paying these taxes. There won't be enough young people to pay taxes, and that is the precise problem. Well, this is the first time we are at least talking about these problems in India, but this is not the first time that the developed world and wealthier nations have solved this problem. Then how did these wealthier countries solve this particular challenge? To start up with, we need to understand the term globalization. What does it mean? It means efficient movement of goods, capital and also human capital, so that it is efficient and also cost effective. Now, wealthier countries such as US could attract talent from all around the world. US is a country which was born and which was built by the immigrants. Then what about countries like Japan? Well, Japan is an also pretty wealthy nation, but they could not attract these kind of immigrants. Why? Because they are a culturally deep-rooted society and they are tolerant to immigrants, but they are not open. That's the reason why a lot of people prefer to go to the US, because they are much more welcoming to the immigrants. Now, as different countries age, these cultures and these governments should create policies and should be more open rather than just being tolerant towards immigrants. The second point is also somewhat related to immigration, but within the country. For example, post-COVID, a lot of people from the west coast of the US and also the northeast, the highly densely populated states of the US, have started moving to other cities. This has helped reduce the strain on the natural resources, reduce the rents, and also gave the people financial flexibility as they move to tier 2 cities in the US. And that is something which the government should actively promote. Remote work was a good trigger point for this entire movement to get started, but the government should take more initiatives to promote this and encourage this even more, helping the tier 2 cities grow. Now, this financial burden that is being adopted by the individual parents and the couples is real. For example, if you just look at the Indian context, the total spend for a middle class family on their kid from 0 to 21, that is conception to college, is 67.4 lakh rupees. This is huge. And that is the reason why a lot of parents, couples are now opting for single kid. Hence the fertility rates are going down. Can the government help these parents, these couples with some kind of subsidies? Can the government make sure that they are able to move into tier 2 cities where they have limited financial strain or at least lesser extent of financial strain? This is something which the government can enable and should enable as well. The other element is whether the government is able to push the families to have more kids versus not. It's ultimately an independent decision and a personal choice that the couples will have. The government, however, does not have any option. It has to make sure that the productivity of the country itself goes up. And how can it do that? For example, if you look at the difference between when age-related problems will start coming up in developed countries versus developing countries, that gap is 30 years. For example, in India, if the age-related problems start coming up around 45, in developed countries such as US, these similar problems will start popping up at 75. This is research. Now you can understand how improving the access to quality healthcare can change the productivity game for the entire nation itself. Rather than pushing the individual families to have and go for more kids, the government should do whatever it is under its own control, because there are some benefits that individual families will see going with one kid or even without any kid. The amount, that 67.4 lakh rupees, is huge. If this amount is not spent by the families are growing richer. If they have only one kid, they are spending more on that kid. The access to the education, quality education, is increasing, which reduces the gender inequalities, and also the caste-related discriminations in societies such as India are going down. This is the real benefit. So rather than debating about whether the families should adopt a single child, a two-child policy, the government should do whatever is under its own control. Now there is another beneficiary with the falling fertility rates. No questions asked, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a huge beneficiary because there is less strain and the total consumption of natural resources itself will come down. Of course, supported by technology, emphasis on green, renewable energies, and all the other factors together along with the lowering population will make the Mother Earth happy, and the planet can potentially stand for few more centuries. So, all in all, it's a personal choice for the individual families. No questions asked there, unless some country does similar things to what China did in 1970s and 80s and have that one-child policy. End of the day, it's all about whatever makes a couple and parents happy. For the government, it's not about how fast will their population age, but it is about can they create an ecosystem where the population can age well. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you again in the next video. Please do share it with your friends and family, and do let me know if you have any more questions around the topic. Take care. Bye-bye.